And welcome to Web Workshop. Leo Laporte here. We're helping you build not just a website, but a site you can be proud of. It's time to enter the somewhat daunting world of web graphics to learn the discipline and principles of displaying images on the web. Not only so you'll have good-looking images, but so you can keep those file sizes down and not make people crazy with the massive download times. Here to explain all, as always, Silicon Alley. And it's so nice to have you on our 500th episode.
Yeah,
You've been with us since the very beginning.
Yes, I am. I'm one of the veterans of Call for Help and the screensavers.
And screensavers. Yeah. So, happy
Congratulations,
birthday.
Leo.
You too. So let's talk about squeezing graphics. What are the keys here to this?
Well, it's important that you learn about the graphic file formats that are available. That
GIF and JPEG.
Right, that will compress your images.
Yep.
And then there are a lot of other tricks to actually just reducing file size.
Okay. And the real reason for this is just to speed up the download?
Yeah, that's the main reason. It's also, I mean, if you go to a website and there's a huge picture there that takes forever to download, that's annoying. And maybe on a T1 you wouldn't have that experience or a faster connection. But most people have slower connections, and so they're not going to appreciate that that picture inching down the page. But also, I don't know that there's any real sort of aesthetic reason to have a picture that takes up the whole page. I think you're actually going to design a nicer, cleaner site if you really sort of, squeeze them down and arrange them on a page that, so that it seems appropriate in terms of your site.
Yeah, I think a lot of times putting a little effort into it makes a big difference. Now, and you may start by trying to squeeze it, but in the long run, you may get a better site in a lot of ways. Well, I'll tell you what, let's take a look without further ado. Learn how to optimize your graphics in this week's Web Workshop.
Ever visited a website and seriously considered learning macrame while you waited and waited for a monster picture to download? While some of your users may have screamingly fast net connections, most people still have lower speed modems, and for both groups, time is of the essence. Your mission as a web designer isn't to annoy people with long download times. You want slick, slim, fast-loading graphics that keep your users interested. To achieve this, first up an explainer of the different file formats you can use to display images on the web.
Graphics in their natural state are too big to display on the web. You need to shrink them so that they don't take forever to download. The standard compression formats for images on the web are GIF and JPEG. Now let's take a look at the characteristics of each one. First, GIFs use a maximum of 256 colors. This limits the complexity of color patterns you can use. GIFs also can appear transparent, so that an image seems to float on the background of your web page. Another feature is that they can be interlaced. This means that a skeleton of the picture appears as it downloads. So when should you use a GIF? Well, this format is best for graphics that have large areas of flat or solid color, such as logos with text, line art, and buttons. Now, if you'd like an irregular-shaped image on your page that appears transparent, then GIF is your choice. And you can also use the GIF format to make animated graphics.
Ever seen those skipping dogs and gyrating mailboxes when you're surfing the web? They're animated GIFs, and many would say they're tiresome and generic. However, you can make your own original animation using the GIF format.
Now, let's dissect the JPEG. Unlike GIFs, JPEGs can display millions of colors, which makes them the best choice for photographs. But you can't make a JPEG transparent. Additionally, your basic JPEG isn't interlaced. This means the photo will load from top to bottom like a Venetian blind. However, some graphic software and browsers will allow a version of progressive JPEG that will interlace your images. Best uses of JPEGs, they work best for the subtle color changes and gradients that you see in photographs or charcoal drawings. Both GIF and JPEG will significantly compress your images so that they display well on the web. Now remember, for visitors to your site, it's all about speed. Now, here are a few ways to optimize your graphics. In other words, reduce the file size of graphics so that they download faster. Number one, observe the 72 dpi standard. That resolution looks best on the web. Anything larger is redundant and will only add to your file size. Second up, smaller is better. Don't make images larger in dimension than they have to be. A smaller, cleaner graphic will almost always serve your purpose better than a hulking graphic that takes forever to download. And make sure your graphic is small in file size. Now that's measured in kilobytes or Ks. The less Ks you have while maintaining a good-looking picture is best. Number 3, use fewer colors. Now, this is only an issue with GIFs. The less colors you use, the smaller the file size, and this is a good thing to remember when you're creating a graphic from scratch.
Finally, some common sense graphic advice. Don't waste your users' precious download time with graphics that are irrelevant to the purpose of your site. Photographer Ansel Adams said it best: there is nothing worse than a sharp image of a fuzzy concept. So let your site fly with sharp ideas and sharp graphics.
That's a great line. What is it? There's nothing worse
than a sharp image of a fuzzy concept.
Oh, brilliant, which is pretty much describes the World Wide Web in many, many ways.
That's right.
That's really nice. I want to take some of these tips home and do them on my webpage. So what's our homework for today?
The homework is experiment with crunching graphics on your site, optimize, do it all, and test it out on a program, and just be aware that sort of, I talked about the difference between GIF and JPEG there, but there's no hard and fast rule. Mm-hmm. Generally, photos are better in the JPEG format, but sometimes they'll actually look better in the GIF format. Mm-hmm. So you need to really play around and test out, all your graphics and see how you can reduce the file size and still maintain a good-looking picture, because you don't want something that looks ugly.
Right.
Also, just, you're always compromising on the web between those sort of two things, reducing file size and maintaining a good-looking picture.
Is there a tool you recommend for using to do this?
I've got a whole bunch of them on the web, from the online tools to ones that you can test out first before you buy to the high-end sort of Image Ready by Adobe. But there's a really good intermediate product from YouLeague called Smart Saver Pro.
This is what I use, actually.
Right.
I use it as part of their photo impact package, which is about $100.
Right.
And you can download this, though, for free and try it.
You can try it for about 15 days for free, and then you can buy it.
This is what I like, is the side-by-side. This is the uncompressed,
right,
and this is the compressed. And you know what? When you can see it side-by-side, you see that this is 1/200th the size, and it looks just as good. So for something like this,
and
go with those fewer colors, right?
Right, and notice what we've done here is what I was talking about in the package was reducing the number of colors. Now, this is something you can do with GIFs, and see, you've reduced it down to sort of 128.
Actually,
that's
even
on
64.
The right. 64, that's on the right. And see, there's no real difference between that and using, 8-bit 256 colors, which is the one on the left.
Right.
So,
that's remarkable.
And that's also, as I said, like making a graphic from scratch. Mm-hmm. Think about how many colors you're going to have in it. It goes back to that sort of, art school story I was saying. Like, how many colors do you actually need in that graphic? The less you have, the less file size you can have.
You were telling me there was a contest to see how small a web page people could design?
Yeah, I read about this. It was a British contest, and it was like make a whole entire website for 5K or under.
Oh, man. I'd like to see the results.
Right.
Were they doing?
I actually didn't see the results, but they didn't have them within the article, but they sounded really great. And one person had an entire e-commerce shopping cart site.
Wow.
But the whole point being that, if I was talking about the optimum size for a graphic, I'd probably say 5Ks, 5 to 10Ks, one graphic, doing the entire website. But what a great exercise for a web designer to do that and still have a good-looking site.
All the details are, as always, on the website. Not in 5K, I'm afraid, but we got it down to a fairly small size at ZDTV.com/call for help. Thanks, Allison.
Thank you.
Very wonderful. Wonderful stuff. I hope people take this to heart and do it.
Yeah, this is one of the most important things I think you can learn in building your website.
Squeeze them down.
Graphics.
All right. We're going to take a break, but I want to give you a chance to test your knowledge. It's daily quiz time, last daily quiz of the day of our 500th episode. Go to the website, ZDTV.com, click on today's quiz, and answer this right to get in the drawing for 1 year at smartplanet.com. Quiz question of the day. What is bit rate? We didn't really talk about this, but we could have with DJ Pablo. There's a hint. Is it data transmission speed, a RAM measurement, pixel speed, or Mr. Ed's dub speed? Go to the website, Wilmer, and give us your answer. We'll talk about it when Call for Help continues.